All right, thanks. I'm not going to put this in full screen because I want to go. It takes a second to get out of full screen and then try to switch over to a browser. So I'm just going to keep it in this. Hopefully you guys can see it. But I think we're all set here, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. Today's Digital Codes of Paint. It's just going to be me. Scott's out on vacation right now, so I thought I'd cover a couple things, but I really wanted to do a quick refresh on Google Analytics. But before we do that, I wanted to go into Gannett Insights and kind of go over a case study or show you some results that we had for getting offers. We've been running an offer campaign with AMCO for about the last year, half year, and they've been performing really well. We've had really good response, and they just basically had us asked us to renew. We didn't even have to convince them. So I think going into Facebook, if you guys have Facebook out there, it's a really good thing to think about offers. If you have a business that has any products that can benefit from offers or any kind of transactional offers that they have, really think about that for your Facebook advertising objectives. Then after that, we're just going to quickly go over a little bit some basic stuff on Google Analytics. I don't know if I'm going to cover everything that I've listed here, but I'm going to try to do some basic understanding on some basic navigation, understanding where UTMs are coming from, making sure that your UTMs are correct when you're building out any display or other ad campaigns, that we have proper UTMs built. I think everyone has the UTM builder from Google. You want to be using that, making sure you're following that format. And then we're going to be looking a little bit into dimensions, where users are coming from, location, behaviors flowchart, new versus returning visitors. Again, I'm going to try to cover a lot of this stuff, but then at the last point, we're going to have our little role play session, asking a client for read-only access, and just kind of explaining some of the benefits of Google Analytics, because we really want to have that discussion as we move forward in the months and years going ahead, and in digital especially. And it's my opinion, and I think it's really backed up with a lot of credibility, that Google Analytics is going to play a huge part in advertising, digital advertising, especially in the future. And a lot of the people, if you would have asked 5 years ago if anyone knows what PPC is, or what a Facebook ad campaign is, or even display, that a lot of people would kind of, locally, at least in this market, would kind of question that, and they would kind of maybe scrutinize a little bit, or they would kind of wonder what you're talking about, and make, not a lot of information. But now they're realizing that there's a lot of credibility with those advertising vehicles. And now, their competitors are doing it. They're talking about, how, they're getting more response on these vehicles, and they know it's important. They know that anything digital now, a lot of people are waking up and knowing that these prime vehicles such as PPC or SEO, people know those lingo, they know the terminology now, and if they don't know a lot about it, they know that they need to have it. So I think in the future, people are going to be really, they're going to know that digital is important, but they're also going to know that if they are running a digital campaign, they know that they need to analyze the traffic, or they need to have a traffic analyzer or data analyzer for web traffic. I think those positions are going to be out there more in the market being created. And so we want to make sure that we're going to market understanding at least a basic understanding of Google, and at least getting people set up with read-only access. Remember, this is not just something that we want to give them, just because it makes us look good or gives us credibility. Yeah, that's an added benefit, but the real thing is it increases, it shows more transparency as far as what a business owner, what that return on investment is for an advertising vehicle. We're showing disruptive analytics versus a competitor. When we're looking at competitor data versus ours, we can show disruptive analytics and show that whose is performing better. And if we're going into Google Analytics, a lot of the times that we've gone in there, Drew showed us that a lot of our campaigns perform a lot better than the competition that's out there. So it's not only that, but it's also gives us user insight, gives us behavior for how their customers are acting on their website. I mean, the list goes on. So we just want to have basic understanding and really start thinking about that and going into those realms. So, but first, I do want to talk about the Facebook offers case study. If my computer will get going here. So basically, AMCO, they've been running a Facebook ad campaign for us for well over a year. The first part of that was a like campaign, and so we generated quite a few likes with them with that ad campaign, like campaign. But we went in and we were really trying to understand what else can they benefit from, what else can they see more immediate results from. Sandy, the client, she knew that we were getting page likes. She thought that was cool and everything, but like everyone that's out there, they want to see sales. They want to see return on investment. They want to see something that's quantifiable for the amount of advertising dollars that they're spending. What are they getting back? An actual business metric that they can measure. So basically, in December, we decided, Mary and I, we went in and we decided, that an offers claim situation might be good. So we started running these offers, and I think around, 6 months past that, it was like May or June, we decided to switch up the creative a little bit. One of the account managers that actually was from Facebook, decided to kind of put the creative and put some creative elements. We have a dog right there, wearing sunglasses. It's really eye capturing. It captures the audience a little bit more. But the thing is when Libby and I went in after Mary had left, we just went in there recently, and really this was the first time in a long time that we had gone in since Mary had left, and we asked Sandy. We said, what. How's the Facebook offers? We've had over 130 claimed, and she goes, "Oh no, it's working well. We've noticed a lot more for AC repair. Since we've been running it, we've had a lot actually." And so we're like, "Wow, that's good. That's really great." And so we were saying, what are your objectives moving forward? What would you like to do? Do you want to allocate budgets or whatever? She goes, "No, I want to continue this." She basically asked us to continue it. So it wasn't even a conversation. She was more or less asking for the business, our business help here. So we went in there and renewed for at least another 6 months, and so she's very happy with the results. So this it got my mind thinking a little bit more, like what other businesses out there can we really we affect and influence with not only this case study, but also just going in and understanding how creative we can get with offers. What are the businesses out there that can create compelling content and ads in that content content in those ads that will actually generate a good call to action and will increase business revenue. And so it's just something for you guys to think about. Some of the takeaways from this is offers work and are a great way to increase customer retention. The ad that generates compelling and immediate call to action. Again, you have an ad that comes up in the news feed. You have a service right there that has compelling, price points. So there's a discount, and we want to directly increase the revenue for the company. So it directly increases, that return on investment that we're doing, aside from just generating page likes or just generating website traffic. We're not really giving them that much direction when we're creating those campaigns. It's good for brand awareness, but it's not something that's asking for a direct, it's not asking for business directly like an offer can. And then using creative, funny, clever, and obscure, messages can be a great way to make the ad stand out and increase engagement. So, this guy that we were working with, I think one of its name, I think it's Justin or someone. We have a few people on Geo that have actually came from Facebook. So if you, I think it was Justin Grubb, or I'm not sure, but I'll have to look back and maybe we can talk about that, give you guys the information if you are working with one of these guys from Facebook, utilize their skills and what they've learned from there. They're not just your regular account managers. They really have a lot of good insight. I mean, he came up with this creative here, and so it was at first I was kind of hesitant about it, and saying, I don't know, I guess let's try it. But we've had a lot of positive results. Our customer ended up liking it. We increased the response from it, and so it just really works good. And just think, if you have any current Facebook contracts that are out there that either are set to renew or you're up for a campaign change, you have 45 days are up here. Think about maybe going into an offers, or at least talk with a client about it. I can give you the information for this case study, and you can share with your clients, and then really have that conversation and get your gears thinking. So I mean, this is a strategy that I had not thought about that much when we went in, but then we thought, what else can we do? So I told Mary, and just came up, well, we could always do an offer ad. And she goes, yeah, let's try that. And so really, it's one of the hidden things, or one of the things that we don't talk about much, is with offers. And it's really been good. It's really been positive, and the client's just asking for our business now. So that is a good thing. So does anybody have any questions on offers or offer claims right now before I go into Google Analytics? Okay. Can you guys still hear me out there?
Yeah, you're good, Brett.
Okay. All right. So without getting too technical, I'm not going to get too technical with this, because Google Analytics can get extremely technical, and I think we all know that. I am just going to cover some basic stuff right here. We're probably going to have a several part series for Google Analytics. Right now, I think as you all know, Scott and I are trying to get our certification going. It's very rigorous. The course is very detailed. It's very it's one thing to just take the information and to watch the videos and take the quizzes, but to retain the information is another thing. So I mean, you have a lot of information that's technical, that's analytical. There's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of phrases that a lot of people might not be aware of. So I'm trying to make a study guide to make it easier if any of you guys have any questions, or if you need to take it in the future. I'm not sure if that will happen, but so I'm just going to go over some basic stuff. So anyways, we have Amco of Howell. They were set up with a website, so we installed Google Analytics with them when we created their website a long time ago. Geo set them up with it. We asked them to. So they have Google Analytics on their website. And so we also had search retargeting running apart from just Facebook. We weren't driving any website traffic from Facebook, since we were doing page likes and offer claims. So we also did have search retargeting running in tandem with Facebook. First, before I jump into that, I just wanted to show everyone a really quick refresh on how to get read-only access if you currently are not, if you have some clients out there and you forgot how to do it. I'm trying not to cover a whole bunch of material right now. Maybe we'll only go through some of it, but I did want to show you this, and I didn't put it in the slide. I just thought about it this morning. When you go into Google Analytics, and if one of your clients has Google Analytics installed, and you don't have read-only access, a real quick thing you can do is just show them. Remember to go to the administrative section, and it's under user management, under account, and then add permissions. Type the email of Michigan AdOps at michiganadops@gmail.com. Believe is the AdOps email. I'll double check, but you just add that right here. So again, homepage, you have all the views, sources right here. You want to go over to the right hand column under admin, user management, and then add permissions for it. And you want to select read and analyze only. So it needs to be a read only access. And then you add, and then that's how you set that up. So I'm recording this video, and if you guys ever have a question on doing it, can make sure that you guys can review this video if Scott and I aren't available for you to get read-only access here. So I'm going to sign out of this one. Going to go into AMCO and go from there. But before I go into AMCO, I wanted to just give you a quick refresher on some of the stuff I want to talk about here. So with the search retargeting campaign, we have been running for a while now. Now the report over here we have is obviously Jeannie's report from 6/27/08, or excuse me, 6/27 to August 4th. Now we're pulling up information and trying to correlate the data from Google Analytics. Keep in mind that some of this data can and will be off at least by a couple of percentages. Now sometimes they might be even closer than that, but it's not unusual if the data is off more than, let's say, 10% of the traffic. Now if it's off more than 15-20%, then we want to make sure that the UTM is correct, that we build out the proper UTM from the Google ad builder, or that Jeannie has built it for you. Want to make sure that the date ranges in Google Analytics are correct, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Make sure that the dates from Jeannie's report are accurate. We may need to have a pod discussion if the data seems off or is not showing up. So I'm going to show you how to find the traffic source for this search retargeting campaign that did not have a proper UTM built out. And I think it was because Mary had just kind of took the initiative to do it, and I don't think whether she was in between something or didn't have time, but we definitely need to get a new UTM built out next time. So we got to talk about that moving forward, making sure that we do that. So it was one of the oversights that I forgot to add one of the things I forgot to talk about when we were talking about redoing and renewing this campaign. But one other thing that I do want to talk to you about too is that sometimes for geos, when you get set up with a website, or if you have a website out there and they have set it up with Google Analytics, and we know that because they asked us for a Gmail, they typically do that in the standard of deliverables when we're doing a website. If you're going in here and you want to get read-only access, sometimes, and it depends because it's all been different, but they will have user management right here. When you try to go in here, it says you do not have sufficient permissions to modify the users on this account. So what you need to do is you need to, since Geo is the primary account holder for the Google Analytics, they've made themselves a primary account holder and won't allow people to manually come in here and add read-only access. What you need to do is you need to contact your account manager and for your website web developer and say that we want michiganAdOps@gmail.com to be included for read-only access. So you're going to have to actually write your account manager for that if that admin section is blocked off. So right here we have basically the audience overview in Google Analytics. Excuse me. And there's a lot to go in here. There's a lot of things you can dive deep into here, but what we want to do is we want to get used to and get basically acclimated and used to understanding where traffic is coming from directly from our advertising efforts. So usually where you're going to find a UTM code, and basically where you want to first look when you guys get into analytics is under acquisition on this left-hand column over here with under dashboard section. So you have all these other sections right here. You don't need to pay attention to those at this point, and probably not for a year or two or more. So all you have to do is go into under acquisition. Typically with the proper UTM, it'll be under campaigns, it'll be under all campaigns, and it will be look something like this. Now this is something I'm going to actually have to check with Jeannie with myself personally, but you would usually have the UTM come in here. Now, why there's one right here for the sessions, I'm not sure, but that's one of the things that I have to talk to her about and understanding. Probably because UTM isn't properly built out. Don't know why one of the traffic sources was directed back here with that. Might be a regular display ad. I'm not sure, but I have to go back in there and see what that, what 5239 is back in Order Hub, or check with Jeannie. But where we're gonna find the actual traffic here is from, it's an acquisition, and it's gonna be an overview. Since that UTM wasn't built out properly, and it's going to be in referral. Now, Jeannie says that the date ranges from this report was from 6/27 to 8/04. But if I go back that far, I already did that previously, the data doesn't match up. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk to her about to make sure that her report is matching up with that. But I'm just going to go back a few months to at least I know about the time that we started, and go back from up to that point till now. So right here, since the UTM was not created, you can see all the other referring sites that are coming in. Now, right here is pixelmathtag.com. That's MediaMath. So you can know that pixel.mathtag.com is at least MediaMath. And you can know that that's where that's coming from. Now, it's not going to be the UTM, a UTM link that you're familiar with or code, because that's the default that MediaMath's links come under. Usually is pixel.mathtag.com. So now, when you're back here with other, with a client, if you're coming back here, you've gotten to this point, and they start asking you about all these other things that are coming up, like keywords monitoring your success, or uptime.com, or fixedwebsiteerrors.com. This can set off a lot of alarms for clients, and well, where's all this traffic? Is this normal? Is this right? Is this whatever? And yes, it is normal. A lot of it is, there's just other, when we talk about spiders and robots and all this stuff that are out there crawling the web, there's a lot of those that come under different type of identities when they're in here. We don't know 100% what a lot of this stuff is. A lot of it is kind of spam type of traffic that comes in, reads websites, gets information about user base or something like that, or a lot of it's just arbitrary traffic that comes in. We're going to learn more about what each one of these traffic is, going deeper into Google Analytics, but you don't have to pay attention to it because it is normal. Every website has it. You just want to make sure that you're finding your advertising.
Brett,
Yep.
Brett, I just want to make sure, because we could be freaking the team out a little bit here. That honestly, I want them to know when the appropriate time, is to ask for this stuff. We can get in and we can show them how to poke around a little bit, but honestly, those are going to be those escalated calls with you and Scott.
Okay.
So it is good, you guys. This is excellent for you guys to understand that this is the future. Brett's spot on with that. This is how even our clients will be analyzing data, and they're going to get smarter with it. But Brett, for example, we have a Facebook campaign and maybe a PPC campaign. We don't do their website. Are we allowed to put read-only on their site if they allow us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing, like, we can, if they have a website out there and they have Google Analytics installed, then the first question is, do you have Google Analytics installed? If they don't have Google Analytics installed, then we can ask them and say, well, can you talk to your web provider and see if we can get Google Analytics? If they don't know how to get Google Analytics on there, we can send you a video, a quick 5-minute video on how to get Google Analytics installed. So that's usually what we've done. I've done that before with a couple of Mary's accounts. We've just sent over that 10-minute video. And so they can usually go from there, and then we can come in and we can start talking to them and showing them where campaign data is coming from.
Right,
So
and so you'll get read-only access. And guys, you can't just go in and start asking every client. Like you have to earn the right, and you have to be the trusted resource. And that's why, as you're having conversations, and I think it's important that in your conversations with Brett and Scott, anybody that is running digital with us at this point, or you're going to propose digital to Brett's point, the more read-only we get, the more, the smarter partner we are with that particular client. So, maybe this is an action item that, take a look at your accounts. You all got some stuff running right now. Some of you have excellent relationships with clients for many, many years that you're trying to unhook them from other providers. And you've earned the right just because you've been their rep for so long. So once you do that, then it's a conversation with Brett and Scott. So I don't want this to scare you. I think it's great that Brett's showing this for the capabilities, but some of you are further along than others. But the main point here is we need to continue to evolve and getting this data and showing that this data can help us with the ultimate conversion and the engagement, and actually, making the client get through to the client through the door. Does anybody have any questions? Let's open it up for questions right now. No questions?
Well,
okay.
One other thing I had, Janie, was I did have a role play, but I don't know if we have time. I thought I was going to have enough time to go through it. I guess I always bite off more than I can chew. But maybe we can do that for next time. I did have a role play, but I know it's up until it's up at 8:30 right now. It's up to you if we want to continue or not. But I guess we can dissect a little bit of this more as we go on. And I mean, literally, there's a lot of information with Google Analytics. I mean, it's really deep. Right here, I mean, you can just see just from our search retargeting campaign with AMCO, we can see how much traffic's coming from each city. We can see how much time one city's spending on a website, how they're interacting. We can see, what in Ann Arbor, what's the mobile usage versus the desktop, or what the device is. So that's just scratching the surface on what you can do with Google Analytics and putting goals together. So maybe next week we can role play, and we can maybe get your mind thinking about it a little bit and start understanding like what the real power is understanding the behavior, where it's coming from, how long they're spending on the site, what's the percentage of new versus returning visitors for our advertising campaigns. Seeing what other campaigns they might be running with another client, and then matching it with ours and seeing what's going on. So those are just things to think about. And then probably next,
Brett?
Yeah,
Brett, can you address a situation here that on your screen there? Remember, it happened to us with Complete Battery, and everybody kind of just was freaking out a little bit as to why traffic is coming in from out of state, or from Washington and Alexandria and New York, and maybe you can address that with everybody, that not to freak out by it, that it's probably the vendors that Media Math's using, or to that. And remember how the client from Complete Battery just was puzzled horribly by this traffic coming in from out of state that did him no good at all. So if you pulled that window back up that you had, you can.
Yeah, that's a good question, and then that's a question that obviously you and I got with that. Here's the thing about that is that you can see this is from AMCO's search retargeting campaign. We've got 18 from Ann Arbor, 12 from Detroit, 8 from Brighton, 7 from Washington, 7 from Commerce Charter Township, 7 from Denton. So you can see there's some other ones. There's a lot of ones that are here locally, but there's some from Washington. There's some from other places, Philadelphia. Here's the thing is that you might have someone that would be searching here, for those keywords, and they might be on a business trip. They could be somewhere out of state. They could be here living here locally, but on a business trip, and then their IP addresses are coming from that location. Another thing is that there's a lot of scenarios that you can see that where if people are out of state or they're out of city or whatever from where you're at, that they still could be living here. They might have relatives here or something of that nature. So you have to keep that in mind. You always want to think, though, about the majority of where the traffic's coming from. That's why I always focus on the majority of where the traffic's coming from. And so you always want to question that. Now, if we have something that like Washington is like, 17 or something, that might create a red flag. And then we also had a call with Nick and Laura to talk about why that's happening. We're getting a lot from New York, and we were thinking that's because the ad servers were based out of Media Math from New York. So there are a lot of variables. That's why I said when I was going further in my presentation that this is just a guide. It's not, don't use it necessarily as 100% empirical data. You don't have to tell your client that, but just keep in mind that this is more or less like a guide. Yes, is there empirical data back here? Yes, I'm sure there is. But to know exactly where it's coming from, why it's coming from that place is speculative, So, but if you can understand the majority of where it's coming from, Brighton makes sense, Ann Arbor makes sense, Detroit makes sense, Pinckney, Howell makes sense. You don't have to question those things, but the things that do look obscure, like that are anomalies that are come out of, you don't know where. Don't try to analyze those too much because who knows why they're coming from there. And it's just the nature of the internet and the beast. You can come back here and you'll always have a website that you can set up in 1 week and you'll get traffic from, Indonesia. It's not abnormal. So you can't analyze traffic sources too much as far as where they're coming from. The majority, though, you want to make sure that, they're coming from places that you're targeting, and at least the majority of the traffic's coming from there. Does that help, Dean? You think?
Yeah, it'll just stop any questions that come in from, out of state or, I'm sure a lot of us are sitting here looking at this chart going, Washington, Alexandria, why are these on here? And you went over it good, and there's, multiple reasons for it, but just to let the client know in case it does happen that this is what that is.
Yeah. Yep, good. Does anybody have any questions up to this point, or have any questions concerning, you might have a client out there that wants, or that you've been thinking about putting read-only access on, but you're unsure on how to do that. You're not even sure where to start. No questions, a stupid question. If you guys have any questions right now, feel free, because I'm sure everyone would benefit from your question.
I would have one too, Brett. Janie, I would totally agree with what Janie said a little while ago. If you do start getting your clients onto Google Analytics, it would be very wise to have Scott or Brett on these calls with you, just in case a question does come up. I mean, it's something that the whole company is leaning toward, is getting everybody a little bit more Google Analytic awareness going. We need to have that for the clients, but it really would be imperative to have Scott and or Brett on these calls with you.
Yeah, I just don't want everybody freaking out. That's not the expectation. The expectation is that once you have a client, you feel you have the right to proceed and ask for read-only access, and you can discuss those clients with Brett and Scott, then you get them in the door. I really just don't want the sales team, if you're ready for this, great. But I don't want anybody freaking out that this is something we expect you to do. We have people and places that do this. That's why Brett and Scott are taking the test and you guys aren't taking the test. I think Brett's main goal here was just to show you the vast capabilities and promote the fact that we want to get read-only access. So we need you guys to partner with us, because they're not on every single call. They don't have the relationships that you guys have. And we want to show up to the game. I mean, Detroit's getting a lot of read-only access. Lansing is getting a lot of read-only access, and we have a few. So he's really encouraging you to allow them to help you get that. And I think that's during your one-on-ones, you guys discuss the current campaigns, what's happening, in your Insights campaign dashboard, and okay, it's time. We've done well with this client. We've earned the right to ask for this, whether they be, a long-term client. We haven't earned their digital, and it's time they need to let us poke holes in what their competition is doing. there's there's a lot of different levels. So don't freak out. That's it. I think I don't know what you're doing, Brett. That looks really scary.
Yeah, it's
Where
just,
are you going now?
it just shows traffic where it comes in. You can see where the traffic from our or from just traffic in general comes in from Howell and where that traffic's going through. 44 or 13 sessions are going to the services and breaks page. There's a drop-off percentage of 96%. The others coming in from 32 sections just going to the home page. They're dropping off at 85%. The next part of the traffic's going to services and specials, and then you can see how long that traffic from that page is acting on. So it shows you where the traffic's flowing from, just from Howell traffic.
Yeah, I think just overall, guys, the main point is we can get every piece of data in every single situation and deliver it to the client, and now we know how to tell the client and coach the client on where to put their ad dollars. So good job, Brett. Thank you very much. But I think our next step takeaway from here is just bring clients to the table that we can get this access. Okay.
Yep. One last thing, Jenny. I mean, we will probably go over. I wanted to do a role play, but we'll do that next time when Scott and I are around. Maybe we'll just do a whole half session on role playing for Google Analytics. We'll just be giving you little bits and pieces. From here on out, probably Google Analytics, because really we do want to get those people on read-only access. I mean, I think at some point there's going to be a big light bulb for everyone once we really start getting some campaigns going with goal metrics and all this stuff to show you, oh wow, this is understandable. I can see why now we wanted Google Analytics. I think right now it's just probably a little bit overwhelming. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool that we can see what traffic does. It's way more powerful than that. It's way more powerful. But we'll be giving you some a little bit here and there as time goes on, and just get your mind thinking about that, and also get your mind thinking about Facebook offers and going from there. And we'll be sharing you that case study here today and give you that information. So nobody else has any questions at this point. We can call it a day, and we'll see you next time. So thanks everyone.